Hello everyone, and welcome to my presentation on campus-wide surveys, telling the story through surveys. What is the purpose of company-wide surveys? But before I explain the purpose, I want to acknowledge that there are 4 types of assessments, which are observation, secondary data, interviews, and surveys. In other words, survey is also another word for assessment. For the purposes of this video, we will only focus on surveys. According to McLean, the act of conducting a survey is the same as an intervention. The purpose of a company-wide survey is to measure employee satisfaction and engagement. Employees can even assist with designing the survey. Company-wide surveys' purpose is to also analyze data and provide feedback to administrators. According to Rothwell, the very act of conducting a company-wide survey creates an expectation that something will be done by administrators with the data and the results once collected. Features of a company-wide survey. The survey should be short, as in no more than 10 minutes. The questions and directions should be clear and understandable. The font should be large enough to read and enough space to write and color contrast. The survey should be both reliable and valid. Reliability is defined as consistency, and validity means you are measuring what you are intended to measure. The strategic survey model, according to Wiley, illustrates the 4 fundamental reasons why organizations should conduct surveys. The base of the model is to identify warning signs or trouble within an organization, such as safety or ethical issues. Next is program evaluation, which evaluates the effectiveness of programs, policies, and initiatives such as diversity and inclusion. Next is employee of choice, which assesses an organization's strategy as an employer of choice among its workforce. For example, performance engagement survey. And finally, to predict the drive organizational outcomes such as customer service satisfaction and business performance. Strengths and weaknesses. Some of the strengths of a company-wide survey is it can motivate employees as they are invested in the process and feel a part of the solution. Areas of improvement can be identified based on the results. Surveys can measure how happy or unhappy an employee is. Increase loyalty and measure benchmark. They can also answer organizational questions, support strategic planning decisions, and provide insight and examples of best practice. Some of the weaknesses includes poor content, which includes unclear or skipped questions, lack of organizational focus, which can cause confusion in answering questions, as well as a lack of response. Dishonesty, because employees are concerned about privacy. And lastly, surveys can cause a decrease in morale because nothing is done with the results or feedback. Remember, the act of administering surveys implies something will be done. Next, let's take a look at a few survey examples according to Sewell and Gilbert. The first example consists of closed-ended questions, which are a form of quantitative data, which means you are only able to answer based on the answers provided on the Likert scale, ranging from very satisfied to very dissatisfied. Next is an example of open-ended questions, which are a form of qualitative data, which means you are able to provide as much information as you desire in order to answer the question. If the survey has both methods, it is defined as a triangulation approach according to McLean. This approach supports the data is the same regardless of the method and reliability. This approach is the best method. Lastly, this is an example of the results of the data based on the answers by utilizing a pie chart. Benefits of a company-wide survey includes employee input and participation, employee measurement and engagement, areas of improvement can be identified, enhanced communication, and increased loyalty. Did you know, according to Wiley, more than 50% of companies with at least 100 employees are currently surveying their workforce? More than 66% of companies with at least 10,000 employees are currently surveying their workforce. And 94% of executives and human resources leaders said, and I quote, their survey programs supported their organization's overall business strategy, and they believe that the practice of surveying employees is simply good business. Thank you for taking the time to view my video, and I look forward to your feedback and constructive criticism.